Business primarily revolves around transaction of money and products that involves monetary values. Involvement of money makes it important to have sufficient knowledge about the basics of calculations. Hello and good day, young business enthusiasts. Welcome to the third episode of Business Math for Quarter1. I am Ma'am Diane, your guide as we journey to the exciting and amazing world of business math. After gaining knowledge on fraction, decimal, and percent, we will now be introduced to ratio and proportion. For this episode, we will be learning about the kinds of proportion and their applications to real-life situations. At the end of the lesson, we will be able to list down different kinds of proportion, differentiate kinds of proportion, give examples in real-life situation. Before we start our lesson, let's have a short activity and see if you are ready with our lesson. Bring out your pen and paper and let's get started. Answer the following questions. Write the letter of your answer on a piece of paper. Number 1. What proportion states that as one variable increases, the other variable decreases? A. Combined, B. Direct, C. Inverse, D. Partitive. The correct answer is number 2. What kind of proportion states that an increase of one variable will also increase the other variable? A. Combined, B. Direct, C. Inverse, D. Partitive. The correct answer is number 3. What kind of proportion is involved between the time taken for a journey and the speed of the car at a uniform distance? A. Combined, B. Direct, C. Inverse, D. Partitive. The correct answer is number 4. Which concept is being involved when a whole portion is divided into parts that is proportional to the given ratio? A. Combined, B. Direct, C. Inverse, D. Partitive. The correct answer is number 5. Which of the following is an example of a partitive proportion? A. 2:4 is equal to 12:24. B. Divide 600 into 3:2:4. C. 5:8 is equal to 15:24. D. 20:6 is equal to 30:4. The correct answer is I hope everyone did well in your pretest. Good job! If you did not get the correct answer, don't worry, we will deepen your understanding as we go along in this episode. involving fractions, decimals, and percent. This time, let us discuss the concepts of ratio and proportion through this story. Jeron, a former tourist guide, decided to help his parents in harvesting sweet corn in their farm. He usually posts schedule of harvest and look for potential buyers in his social media account. He sells 1 kilo of sweet corn for 100 pesos. 1 kilo of sweet corn is equivalent to 3 pieces. If someone ordered worth 500 pesos, how many pieces of sweet corn will Jeron deliver? This situation involves proportion. Do you know that the concept of proportion is very useful in every real-life situation, especially in business? We can apply proportion to know and compare the price of every item sold in the market or a piece of share of inheritance and many others. To begin with, let us refresh our mind on the concept of ratio, which is very essential in your learning on different kinds of proportion. Let's take a look at it. Suppose a family of 7 members whose gross monthly income is 20,000 pesos budgeted the following amounts for their major monthly expenditures. Food, 12,000 pesos. Electricity, 2,000 pesos. Transportation, 2,200 pesos. And cell phone load, 1,600 pesos. Questions. Number 1. What is the ratio of the food bill to the gross monthly income of the family? The answer is, since the food bill is 12,000 pesos and the gross monthly income of the family is 20,000 pesos, then the ratio is 12,000 pesos is to 20,000 pesos, or in its simplified form, it's 3 is to 5. Number 2. What is the ratio of electricity bill to the gross monthly income of the family? The answer would be, so the electricity bill is 2,000 pesos and the gross monthly income of the family is 20,000 pesos. So the ratio is 2,000 is to 20,000, or in its simplest form, that's 1 is to 10. Number 3. What is the ratio of cell phone load to the food bill? So our answer will be, since the cell phone bill is 1,600 pesos and the food bill is 12,000 pesos, then our ratio will be 1,600 is to 12,000, or in its simplest form, it's 2 is to 15. What is ratio? Ratios are usually shown as 2 numbers separated with a colon. For example, 1 is to 4, 5 is to 8, or 3 is to 2 is to 1. The terms of the ratio are the numbers of measurements being compared. As young entrepreneurs, it is essential to have a clear vision on the concepts of ratios. When we are asked to give the ratio of food bill to the gross monthly income of the family, the answer is 12,000 pesos is to 20,000 pesos. Expressing it in simplified form, we get 3 is to 5, where 3 represents the food bill and 5 represents the gross monthly income of the family. Let us now express the following in terms of ratio. First, a certain store serves 3 flavors of ice cream, 4 parts strawberry, 6 parts mango, and 11 parts chocolate. So the answer will be, since we have 4 parts strawberry, 6 parts mango, and 11 parts chocolate, the ratio is 4 is to 6 is to 11. A small merchandise has 12 female and 20 male employees. What is the ratio of female employees to male employees? And this will be our answer. The ratio of female employees to male employees is 3:5. Since there are 12 female employees and 20 male employees, we have 12:20, or in its simplified form, we have 3:5. Since you are already refreshed, let us now proceed to our lesson, which is understanding proportion. Now, what is proportion? Proportion states the equality of the two fractions or ratios. The following are proportions. 3:4 is equal to 15:20. 4/6 is equal to 8/12. Each of the four numbers in a proportion is called a term. From A/B is equal to C/D, A is the first term, B is the second term, C is the third term, and D is the fourth term. And 3:4 is averaged with 15:20. The means are 4 and 15, while 3 and 20 are called extremes. The symbol of the two colons read as is averaged with, or the equal sign is used to equate the two ratios. Our rule concerning proportion is that the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. That is, the cross products of the terms are equal. In the example, 3:4 is equal to 15:20. 4 times 15 is equal to 3 times 20. 4 and 15 are the means, and 3 and 20 are the extremes. So the result are both 60. Applying the rule to the other example, 4/6 is equal to 8/12, we cross-multiply the means and the extremes. 4 times 12 is equal to 6 times 8. So the result of the means and the extremes are both 48. How do we find an unknown term in a proportion? Assuming the second term is unknown, the proportion may be written as 6:n is equal to 4:8. Using the rule, the product of the means equals the product of the extremes. To do that, we cross-multiply the means and the extremes. So this will be our solution. 6/n is equal to 4:8. Multiplying the means and the extremes, we get 4n is equal to 48. N is equal to 48/4. And our n is equal to 12. Illustrative example number 1. Do the ratios 8/10 and 18/22 form a proportion? Explain. So this will be our solution. We compute for the cross products of 8/10 and 18/22. If they are equal, then 8/10 and 18/22 form a proportion. To do that, we have 8 times 22 is equal to 176, while 10 times 18 is equal to 180. Since 176 is not equal to 180, then 8/10 and 18/22 do not form a proportion. Illustrative example number 2. what value of n will make this a proportion? 6 over 15 is equal to n over 25. So this is our solution. We cross multiply 6 and 25, then 15 and n. The product is divided by 15 to find n. To illustrate, that will be 15 times n is equal to 6 times 25. 15n is equal to 150. n is equal to 150 divided by 15. n is equal 10. Thus, n equals 10. Illustrative example number 3. 8 tea bags are needed to make 5 liters of iced tea. How many tea bags are needed to make 15 liters of iced tea? Solution. Let T represent the number of tea bags. The problem translates the following proportion. T over 15 is equal to 8 over 5. So applying the concept of cross multiplication, we have 5 times t is equal to 15 times 8. So that will be 5t is equal to 120. T is equal to 120 over 5. So t is equal to 24. Thus, 24 tea bags are needed to make 15 liters of iced tea. We now proceed with the kinds of proportion. First, we have direct proportion. It is a relationship between two variables when their ratio is equal to a constant value. Say y is directly proportional to x when the equation takes the form y is equal to kx, where k is the constant term. It is said that the two quantities of a proportion is directly proportional. When one quantity increases, the other quantity also increases, or vice versa. Situations that illustrate direct proportion. If one notebook costs 12 pesos, then 2 notebooks will cost 24 pesos, 3 notebooks will cost 36 pesos, and so on. The number of hours you work and the amount of your paycheck. Your score in your examination to your grade. We have the sample equation. 15 computers for 45 students, 45 computers to 135 students. This can be written as 15 is to 45 is equal to 45 is to 135. The number of computers is directly proportional to the number of students, since the number of computer increases as the number of students also increases. Sample word problem. If 10 snake plants cost 5,000 pesos, then how much do 8 snake plants cost? The total amount of sales is directly proportional to the number of snake plants sold. We see that the greater the number of snake plants, the higher is the total cost. Take a look on this ratio. If 10 snake plants cost 5,000 pesos, it is expected that the cost of 8 snake plants will be lesser than 5,000 pesos. In the problem, the number of snake plants and the total cost are directly proportional. Hence, the more snake plants you buy, the higher the cost will be, or or the lesser the snake plants you buy, the lower the cost. Next, we have inverse or indirect proportion. It is a relationship between two variables when their product is equal to a constant value. Say y is inversely proportional to x when the equation takes the form y is equal to k over x. This means that the two values x and y are inversely or indirectly proportional to each other, such that if x increases, then y decreases, or if x decreases, y increases. Situations that illustrate inverse or indirect proportion. The more people who share the lot of prize money, the less each person receives. The speed of a vehicle and the time of travel in a uniform distance. If a family has less members, then there will be more saving. Sample equation. 3 persons for 2 days is to 6 persons for 1 day. This can be written as 3:2 is equal to 6:1. The number of persons needed to do the work is inversely proportional to the number of days needed to finish the work. Since the number of persons needed to do the job increases, the number of working days should decrease. Sample word problem. In a top spray bottle factory, 2 employees can manufacture 20 bottles of spray in 1 hour. How long will it take 5 people to manufacture 20 bottles? Take a look on this ratio. If 2 employees can finish 20 bottles in 1 hour, then 5 employees will take less than an hour to manufacture 20 bottles. We see that more workers on a job would reduce the time to complete the task. And the last one, we have the partitive proportion, also called proportion by parts. A whole amount is being divided or distributed into parts that is proportional to the given ratio. Situations that illustrate partitive proportion. The number of men and women who attended a seminar, dividing inheritance to children, allotment of salary into different expenses. Sample equation. Child A is to child B is to child C is equal to 2:3:3. Sample word problem. Karen wants to donate her collection of figurines to her 4 friends in the ratio of 1:3:3:5. She has a total of 96 figurines. If her best friend wants the most number of figurines, how many figurines will she get? Take a look on this ratio. Friend A is to friend B is to friend C is to friend D is equal to 1:3:3:5. In the problem, the total number of figurines is partitioned or divided into unequal ratio of 1:3:3:5, thus making use of partitive proportions. State if the following equations and situations illustrates direct, inverse, or partitive proportion. Write your answer on a piece of paper. Number 1, 2:1 is equal to 2:4. Number 2, girl is to boy is equal to 4:5. Number 3, 3 is to 8 is equal to 6 is to 4. Number 4, the cost of apples at 50 pesos per kilogram. Number 5, the number of workers and the number of days to work. And these are the answers. Identify if the given problem illustrates a direct proportion, inverse proportion, or partitive proportion. Write your answer on a piece of paper. Number 1. An artisan bread maker uses 2,000 grams of flour to make 4 loaves of handcrafted bread. How many grams of flour is needed to make 2 loaves of bread? And the answer is number 2. If Mang Goryo wants to give 5,000 pesos to his 4 children in the ratio of 1 is to 2 is to 3 is to 4 for their weekend allowance, how much will each of the 4 children receive? And the answer is number 3. It takes 4 mechanics to repair a car for 6 hours. How long will it take for 7 mechanics to do the repair if they work at the same rate? The answer is number 4. To finish a certain job in 6 days, 3 workers are needed. If it is required to finish the same job in 2 days advance, how many workers have to work? The answer is number 5. Miss Abelia donated 60,000 pesos as a club fund for the upcoming school fair. The Math Club, the Science Club, and the Filipino Club will share the amount in the ratio 2 is to 3 is to 5. How much will each group receive? The answer is because we are done explaining and applying all the information we learned from our topic, let's summarize our lesson by answering another activity. Fill in the blanks. Write the missing part to complete the following sentences. Blank is a statement of equality between 2 ratios. In the expression 4 is to 6 is equal to 8 is to 12, 6 and 8 are blank, while 4 and 12 are the blank. In direct proportion, if one variable increases, the other variable blank. A number is inverse proportionate to another when one variable increases, the other variable blank. In a blank proportion, a whole amount is divided into parts that is proportional to the given ratio. Young business enthusiasts, I believe you are now knowledgeable on the different kinds of proportion. Before we end this episode, let us have a short quiz to measure if you attained our learning objectives. Go get your paper and pen and answer the following. Read each statement carefully and write the letter of the correct answer on your paper. You may pause this video while answering the questions. Good luck, students! Congratulations for a job well done. You were able to finish the activities from the lesson in this episode. Hopefully, you have learned a lot and put your acquired learnings into practice by exploring the beautiful world of business math. Once again, I am Ma'am Dayan. See you on more exciting episodes only here at Puerto Princesa Dream TV.